Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Nutanix Weekly, the XenTegra podcast focused on the Nutanix stack and ecosystem. And it's one of the many things that we do here we like to call content with context. We call it that because we go out on the internet, we find the best content we can, and we try to bring our real world context to that information. We discuss it, and of course, I can't do that alone because that would be boring. So, of course, I bring along my merry band of brothers, and we try to talk about that. Today, I'm joined with Jirah Cox. Jirah is a principal architect at Nutanix. For listeners of this podcast, you know Jirah really well. I think he's been here since the beginning. So, Jirah, where are you joining us from today?
It is a beautiful day here in sunny Orlando on the last day of the Gartner Symposium conference. And if I've had a chance to meet you, thanks for that. If we didn't, I'm sorry, and I'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, it's life on the road, principal architect, you're working with customers, you're working with vendor partners and industry analysts in this case and other customers who are attending the conference, but you stay busy and almost play where in the world is Carmen Sandiego with Jirah most of the time.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Next week for me will be 8 years at Nutanix. And the list of people that want to talk to Nutanix in some way, shape, or form is certainly both long and distinguished and also growing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you've had some favors done in the industry. There's a lot of interest. I know I see that from our conversations with customers and clients. There's a lot of people that are looking for that next right step for their modern infrastructure. And so, couldn't tee up a better intro to today's blog post. This is out on Nutanix.com in their executive focus area. So, Nutanix.com/executive. And it's a C-suite's guide to distributed hybrid infrastructure, which, this is appropriate that you're at the Gartner Symposium because basis for this article or this blog post is basically the new Gartner Magic Quadrant for distributed hybrid infrastructure. It's a mouthful, and it's a new category, I believe, for Gartner too. Distributed hybrid infrastructure. What's that about? What's it a recognition of?
Yeah, it's such a wonderful recognition that we can drill deeper into. You're right to define it for folks. It does, I believe, the places what we might think of as before the HCI Magic Quadrant.
Mhm.
Um, since if we really zoom out industry wide, basically HCI is the new virtualization, right? So no one even really sells a standalone hypervisor anymore. Everything comes with a solution for both running the VMs on the compute side and the storage is well aggregated and defined in software. Um, so since that became so commoditized, they retired the HCI Magic Quadrant, and now we have the DHI Magic Quadrant for hybrid infrastructure, distributed hybrid infrastructure, which really I think is to their credit very forward looking to think about how would I, as a technologist and a technology leader, get to an operational state where I manage my on-prem, my edge, my colo, and my cloud all together in a unified platform. So looking forward to that, which companies could help me with that kind of a goal of I want to have one software cloud platform that I give to the business, right? And who can help me along that journey?
Well, it's funny, as you mentioned that the seamless management in the same way that spans from cloud, edge, on premises. That sounds like something we talked about a few episodes ago on here. And it really came directly from the Nutanix blog. So it really is kind of a recognition of the work you're doing to make it simple and a single software stack that spans all those different locations to meet customer needs.
It's 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 really very pleasantly validating, right? Around the way that we've had our view of the technology stack and what it needs to look like and where you should be able to run it. It's a really fun time to be at Nutanix and having these kind of conversations with our customers for sure, because a lot of it comes from customer requests, right? Like I forget the exact average, but a rule of thumb is like something like half of the features in our stack come from customer request, half of them we think of ourselves, right? Delivering them both together is what gives the platform the value.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about why DHI matters. So, DHI is going to be short for distributed hybrid infrastructure for the rest of this podcast. But why is it important as a deployment model, and what does it let companies do?
Um, it it lets them well, first off, simplify, right? Because that's kind of what we're all about in Nutanix, right? So of course I can do cloud, let's say without Nutanix. I can do the edge without Nutanix. But why would I want to use Nutanix to do all of these things? Well, now I have one team, right? If they learn Nutanix, they've learned all of the things. They can do a workload at the edge, of course, govern the traditional core on-prem, and of course, also now do cloud or new clouds or change clouds, um, and run all of that. So that's really great, unifying both the technology stack and even the people on the operational side of things. I often say this to customers, right? Like this is super cheesy, and I acknowledge that up front, and I own it. But like we're here to power your cloud, like the Acme Cloud or the Pentoso or Widgets Inc. cloud. Whatever you want your cloud to look like. Do you want your cloud to contain the data center, contain a cloud vendor, to contain the edge? That's all fine. You just on a whiteboard choose the shape of your cloud, and now you know how to get there. Um, but that also unlocks other things. That makes it dramatically easier to move workloads across these now. We can now make a cloud provider really an availability zone within your cloud, right? So I can now do production in one cloud and DR in another cloud, or production in one cloud and migrate to another cloud, or on-prem, or vice versa. So mobility matters an awful lot. I can think through the edge. The edge is now a first-class citizen. And then lastly, I can wrap it all in policy, right? Because
Mhm.
policy is almost like uh, maybe it's always dangerous to have a new thought on a podcast, but policy is almost like automation for infrastructure, right? Like it's one fewer place when I'm doing click ops where I have human error, perhaps. If I can get it categorized right, if I can get the right policy associated, now I can have confidence that that policy is going to apply anywhere in, we'll say within my cloud.
Well, and you talk about these things, and I think there's a recognition that needs to come out that cloud native in a cloud is a way of operating, not necessarily a destination. We've often thought of it as a destination, and if you've listened to us on here before, we talk about it's not a destination. It's really just a way of doing things. It's highly automated. It's providing services that are consumable generally by API. It is that cloud native way that meets your developers where they're at, but also increasingly meeting the independent software vendors where they're refactoring their applications to run. And so, there's this recognition that as things have kind of changed on-prem with VMware by Broadcom and the acquisition, there are really two choices. There's either a DHI platform or a public cloud as your destination as you map your new strategy. And so either one of those now operates in a very similar way with services and with all of the controls that you need in order to stay safe and have choice and manage in a uniform way.
And I think there's uh, yes to all of the above, and that ability to adapt, right? So some customers
Mm.
are you could be the most staunchest of I'm a dark site customer. I have a prod data center, a DR data center. I have no cloud, or the opposite. I'm only in cloud. I'm only in one cloud.
Hmm.
That's my strategic partner, and that's all completely fine. Um, but in our day jobs, right, we're all kind of like one email away from learning that there's a new acquisition or a
Hmm.
divestiture, right? And the shape of my cloud has to change really on demand and as quickly as possible to accommodate new requirements, right? So, um, designing for what do we know about from the past, what has the past taught us, and being able to say yes to the unknown as well, right, is where DHI really lives.
Well, and for many of us, there's a two-letter word that I'm sure you've heard zero about this week at the Gartner Symposium. But this two-letter word that's kind of turning us on our head. And it means, we have to go where the technology is present. It's AI. Every business is chasing AI initiatives. And so moving your data around, that portability factor is a huge enabler for us to be able to do more AI things against that data. So whether that's on-prem, whether that's in a cloud somewhere, just being able to get your data to the place where you want to use AI is a really important goal for most organizations today.
Very true. There's been one or two vendors here this week that might have AI in their products, of course, including us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Like you haven't ever heard of this concept of AI, completely new, something new you've learned today. Um, with trends like that, it's kind of hard not to get caught in the hype. Um, and I remember a conversation with my CIO in the past, as he reads trade magazines and articles and things like that. There's always hype around the next big wave of what we're doing inside the industry. How do we separate those things from, what we can actually do from reality, and what's hype, what's reality is sometimes a difficult thing. So I'll ask this question: is distributed hybrid infrastructure hype? Is it real? Like this recognition, like where are we standing, and what does it mean to CIOs in the industry?
Um, the my mind immediately goes to, and with mindfulness, to my immediate host at the moment, right, Gartner. That's exactly what things like the Magic Quadrant validate, right? Is
Mhm.
where is their reality, right? What is truly achievable here? But of course, IT leaders would want to be, of course, getting simplicity right at the operational level, right? That's
Mhm.
simply what you have to be driving toward, is that doing more with less, making tasks more repeatable, reducing human error on the planning, on the operational side, on the escalations. As always, getting more secure, getting more compliant. That only marches one direction, right? And it's not
Mm.
towards less secure. So how do I enforce that kind of security? Um, and who help me get there, right? So,
Yeah, I would say it's pretty scary in the industry right now. I mean, just the number of attacks, the scrutiny at which your business partners, and by that I mean like insurance, cyber liability, insurance, and things like that. You're under more scrutiny to do more, to enforce and to show that you're doing the right things. And even when you do it all right, there's still a certain amount of risk that a bad actor could get in and do something malicious in your environment, and there could be losses, there could be exposure. So doing the right things in a simple way, that's a huge enabler for most organizations because security has traditionally been pretty complex. You're bringing approachability in the Nutanix platform to be secure out of the box and then to show and enforce desired state from a security standpoint.
mhm. Yeah, all true. And of course, we don't exist in a vacuum. Right? We have to help
Mhm.
re-platform and continue to deliver all the exact same kinds of services, SLAs that the business expects from the current technology stack. And really, ideally, and I should also say normally, add a lot more value as well, right? Like simple replatforming is expensive and a lot of work
Mhm.
um, in a best case scenario. So what's in it as well, right? That we can also achieve. Can I increase my VM security posture, right? And have a better stance on microsegmentation or zero trust? Can I, layer on like SDN networking to be able to get simpler DR or IP portability, or more visibility into my network packets, what's happening, right? So I can catch stuff earlier when those attacks do happen. Can I improve my FinOps game, right? And get walk down that path of show back, shame back, charge back, right?
Mhm.
Whatever the right operational maturity is for my organization. Cloud's not free, DHI is not free, private cloud is not free, right? But we can help with better metering, right, and transparency for that costing, so that the business knows what they're consuming and where that value is going. So,
And that drives some really great strategic conversations with your business partners. That may be a little new or foreign to a lot of IT departments, but you're being forced into that situation anyway, because now you have finance scrutinizing what was just an accepted spin on hypervisors and technology that's now 3x, 10x what it was. And so it's forcing conversations with your business partners on the finance side that maybe you weren't having in the past. So I think it's also kind of a good thing because this is an opportunity for IT to get closer to the business, understand what's important to your business partners, and help create a strategy where your infrastructure is more adaptable to what your business needs, what your business is chasing. And, I always love advocating for IT as a service provider to the rest of the organization. I think it's a great model to think of yourself as an internal service provider. And, that really does drive the strategic alignment conversations with your business partners. That I think is an ultimate win for all IT in the future as we move forward and mature in kind of our practice. When it comes to executives, what should they be considering when evaluating a DHI provider?
Well, but maybe perhaps the biggest one, right? Which I would say ultimately, if I had to summarize a lot of conversations I've had this week and these last couple months and years, is just choosing who do I want to be a good faith partner to my business,
Mhm.
right? Um, there's almost a cultural fit level of evaluation there. In fact, I was asked one time to help prepare for a panel interview, and the question was, what's an unexpected skill that we as IT leaders need to be developing in an AI world, right? That we've not needed to date. And I thought about it for a second. And to be fair, you could answer that question almost any way you wanted to and make it defensible, right? It's pretty wide open. And my thought was developing a skill around interviewing an LLM for cultural fit, right? Because humans have implicit bias. LLMs therefore have to have implicit bias because they're made by humans. You have to be able to detect it, right? And if you were interviewing an LLM for a business strategy, and the LLM said, "Well, I perceive that your customers don't have a lot of choice and they're stuck. You should jack up prices on them." The AI might consider that to be a great business move, but not every company wants to do that, right? So LLM cultural fit there, but I think that goes to even your business partners, right, and a core platform as well, right? Who's actually investing in R&D? Who's actually investing in customer success and delivering what we've always really aimed for, right? Customer delight. Right? If you're a customer of mine, you've heard me say it. Our goal is not just for you to like it; we want you to love it, and we're not done until you do. So that's really the biggest thing I can think about. Considering for a new DHI partner, of course, we could go on and do several episodes on the technical speeds and feeds and validity there as well.
I think it's really important to kind of go back to some of the original things that you pointed out that were the reasons why DHI matters. You've got that unified control plane for hybrid and multi-cloud, integrated security and backup, cloud native services deployable, and really kind of support for Kubernetes moving forward. That's where the industry seems to be going. All of those are key reasons why Nutanix fits so well in this DHI definition and the Magic Quadrant. The result for Gartner's evaluation, you guys are positioned in the leadership quadrant. So you're up there with VMware, but Broadcom, Microsoft, AWS. And AWS and Microsoft are largely there because they offer some version of their cloud as an on-prem, either AWS Outposts or Azure Local. So, they're there with you, but there's not a lot of other vendors ranked as high as you in this Magic Quadrant release.
Not only that, I won't take credit for this as an original thought. Our global CTO for platforms, Parag, pointed that to me yesterday. We're the only logo in the Magic Quadrant that doesn't have $1 trillion market cap. Right.
Mhm.
So, what an amazing validation of the technology stack itself, right? Not just market presence, not just overall total customer spend on us, right? So obviously we're well positioned to grow and explode. Um, but it really, truly, actually, for us, especially in that quadrant, is a validation of the technology itself.
Yeah. Well, and strategy, not just the technology, the strategy that you've been driving, because largely your strategy has influenced your technical roadmap.
Yep.
The releases of products like database as a service. You know,
Right.
that sometimes, and I've talked to other people, they don't know what to do with that because they're like, why is Nutanix doing this? And what, they're not a database company, they're an infrastructure company, but it's the as a service, it's the cloud model, the strategy of being able to do these things programmatically with APIs. That strategic choice is a huge reason why you're succeeding today. You know, when we look at the report from Gartner, which you can go to the Nutanix website, sign up and download a free copy of the uh, Gartner report, mandatory features for a DHI platform include, you know, an integrated platform with a hypervisor, storage, and virtual networking services, vendor engineered hybrid cloud infrastructure with resource management, management of distributed infrastructure that's supported by a set of APIs, centralized management portal that provides secure, automated, full stack solution for operating and supporting distributed infrastructure, support for virtual machines. You
Yeah.
know, it reads like a line card for who you are as an organization.
At the risk of sounding like a one-man echo chamber, really my mind goes back to our simple tagline of running any app anywhere, right?
Mhm.
All more detailed, right? More diligent ways of saying whatever your application is shaped like. Is it bare metal and needs intelligent, performant, secure data services? Is it virtualized? Is it in a container? Does it use a lot of these together and therefore apply LLMs and become an AI-powered application? And of course, what's not powered by a database? Um, that is exactly what we do is build infrastructure that is great at running today's and tomorrow's applications.
Well, and I had a great conversation with a customer earlier today, and we were talking through different solutions, and the aha moment for the customer was, oh, so it's in the software. The value is in the software. And yes, that's exactly what we've been saying as HCI was launched, as it was created, is that we've shifted from purpose-built hardware, purpose-built arrays. The true value is in the software. And every release, there's more value in the software. There's performance enhancements, there's new capabilities, there's optimized code, things to go faster, things to do more. And so that's the beauty of this design is that your secret sauce is in the software.
I mean, we should get it's in the software put on shirts. If you can connect us with your customer you can arrange for royalties for that. I'm sure that is absolutely a brilliant summarization.
Yeah, and there's no end in sight. There's tons of new innovation and things coming. You know, Gartner points out over the last 12 months, you've added support for PowerFlex. You're working on support for Pure Storage. You're working on cloud native AOS. All of these things, if you're not familiar, we've done podcasts and episodes about these topics. So flip back through and listen in more depth. But all these are great innovations that are very customer centric. They're allowing customers to do more on their terms and have more choice. Choice is a key component of the Nutanix DNA. Um, it's no end in sight. So how exciting is it for you as your company's announcing some pretty significant changes, adaptations that recognize kind of where the industry is going in the future?
Very exciting. And the biggest one that I really feel often is partnerships, right? So new partnerships around workloads, around observability, around alerting. I won't give it all away. It's public, but we should keep some powder dry for future podcasts around some of this stuff. But hey, pick your favorite product in this area and that area. There's now probably new ways you can use that with Nutanix for a better together kind of outcome. So it's really, I've been representing Nutanix to customers in one way or another for almost 11 years now, and the partnerships that we have now are just unprecedented, right? So that's really what I find the most exciting.
I agree with that. We talk about the lone holdout, that one application that wasn't certified to run on Nutanix AHV, Cisco Call Manager. That's coming.
Yep.
It's coming very, very soon. All of your major industry software applications are now certified to run on Nutanix. And you've announced new partnerships with Google Cloud. You have Nutanix Kubernetes platform after acquiring D2iQ, but you also have first party support for Red Hat OpenShift. It's even in a orchestrated form inside of your app library inside of Prism Central. So you embrace the ability for the customer to make the choice really wholeheartedly. And it's great because we need that choice. At times the default doesn't fit our use case, or we may have a different opinion. Choice is always a great thing in the industry. So um, we really do enjoy partnering from our standpoint as a reseller, working with the Nutanix team. We love the technology. We love the technologists we get to work with, but we also drink our own champagne. We run this day to day in our managed services practice, and we've done that for the last 6 years because it's technology we can count on day to day. It's something where we can do a lot with a relatively thin staff, I guess. We don't have to have tons and tons of people to maintain this stack of infrastructure. And that's one of the brilliant points for us because people are expensive and we are asked to do more with less. And it helps us stay very cost competitive in our product offerings based on the Nutanix platform.
Yeah, I can think of one customer that the last stat I heard from them was they run, I think, a VDI environment of about 3,000 Nutanix nodes, which you can think of as 3,000 Nutanix servers, or let's say powered servers, delivering virtual desktops across 3,000 servers with about 1.5 FTEs managing it, right, including even the OS image wrangling. So that it does speak to the well, yeah, what our one of our earliest taglines a decade ago: "Get your nights and weekends back." Right, like requiring less time from those practitioners, right, to deliver the same quality of service.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that inflection point. I ran really hard early in my career. And at a certain point, it's like, I want a vacation. I want to be able to go away without the pager going off. Now I'm showing my age, pager. But, those vacations are important. Having continuity, having someone feel confident when, someone else is away, that's a huge bonus to an organization to be able to not be reliant on one person and not be kind of, in a degraded state when that person's on a vacation.
Sure.
We're all people too, and we deserve those. So I love that tag phrase, and I love that throwback.
Some
It's
places, some places talk about having a bus factor of one.
mhm.
Cheerier places to work call it a lottery factor of one. But whatever, however you think about it, right? Um, and another cheesy Jirah-ism here that I usually chart out is that we don't just hyperconverge, of course, to the compute and storage that we did 15, 16 years ago. We hyperconverge your teams, right? If I can have one cloud team, right, that can touch any workload, manage any deployment anywhere. Well, now each person on that team is on call less compared to if I'm on the Cloud X team and there's two of me or even one of me. It's always me all the time. I can't route that ticket anywhere else, right? So even democratization of ticket routing um, and more universal tooling and processes for those teams, it even helps out even the folks on the keyboard.
Absolutely. You know, as we kind of close out this whole topic, I really like the second paragraph of the Magic Quadrant report from Gartner. It says this: by 2028, 55% of enterprises will initiate proof of concepts for alternative distributed hybrid infrastructure, DHI products, to replace their VMware-based deployments and embrace hybrid cloud infrastructure delivery, up from 15% in 2025. So I know that it's just talking about proof of concepts, which here at XenTegra we like to call them proof of values. But I think that's actually a low statistic. I think it's a low estimate. I'm seeing a lot more interest from customers of all sizes as they're searching for solutions. What's your thought on that 55% of enterprises?
Let me just check my calendar real fast. Yep, I agree. That does sound low.
You're living proof. You're meeting with them. You're talking with them. Yeah,
Yeah, you and I are both we're pretty busy these days.
yeah, we are for sure. Well, this has been fun. So DHI, something new. Thank you, Gartner, for a new term because we love our acronyms in this industry. So DHI is here to stay. It is different than hyperconverged because it is a unified cloud to edge strategy. And this is really important for organizations to be on top of and to be thinking about because it's a strategic advantage for your organization. So if myself or Jirah can ever help, I know we'd love to engage. We'd love to have a conversation around DHI. We'd love to unpack this with your CIO. If you've got questions about how this could help, please do reach out. If no other way, you can always get in touch by sending an email to info@xentegra.com. But we appreciate you listening. Jirah, thank you for joining me for this conversation and look forward to catching everyone on our next episode.